Hello, and thanks for tuning in to Roof Connections. This is a bi-monthly show discussing facility maintenance topics for anyone who works in the industry or has an interest in facility maintenance. My name is David Huval, and I'll be your host. In a new segment we're calling Meet the Members, I'll introduce you to the team at Supreme Roofing, an award-winning, privately held commercial roofing contractor based out of Dallas, but who also has locations in New England, Colorado, and Oklahoma. Today I'm joined by Senior Vice President Craig Rady, Service Manager Will Messer, and Service Scheduling Manager Melissa Stafford. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What'd y'all think of the restaurant last night at Cash?
It was good.
That was good.
It was good, yeah.
I've come up here in the last year and a half probably a dozen times, and I've wanted to go there every time I pass by there. I was like, I need to eat there sometime. But that was pretty good filet we had last night.
It was good.
Cachet.
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 Yeah. It's Cash if you're in Little Rock. It's Cachet if you're anywhere else
Arkansas.
in the country.
Yes.
Joe Dirte, fancy it up. Coming from Dallas, there was some pretty good filet.
It was pretty good. So, well, to start, I'd like to go around the table and give each of you a chance to kind of introduce yourselves to the audience. So we'll start with you, Craig. I read that you actually started working at Supreme in high school. Can you tell the audience a little bit how you got your start and where that path has led you?
Yeah, so, my dad started Supreme 32 years ago, and I remember, like any other roofer, we'd be driving down the road and he'd go, hey, see that building? We put the roof on it. See that building? We put the roof on it. So I was like, oh, that's awesome. So, when I got to high school, summertime, looking to make a little extra money, he was like, well, come on. So I'd go to work with him in the morning, and I'd be like, so what am I doing? Am I going to put the roofs on? He's like, no, you're going to go over there and you're going to count screws and put plates and screws together. And I was like, okay, well, that's cool too.
Yeah.
So I did that during high school, during the summer times, counting inventory, putting screws and plates together. And then went to school in Alabama. The plan was to, I got my finance degree. The plan was to, move to New York and, do, financing and, stocks and all that kind of stuff. And certain things happened about my sophomore year, and there were some rough times. And I was like, hey, I'm coming home and, going to work for the family business. And he said, no, you're not. You're going to stay and get your degree. I didn't bust my ass my whole life for you to
drop out of school.
And come to work. I would love to have you if that's what you want to do.
It's like, come see me in a couple of years when you graduate, and we'll talk.
Yeah. I didn't invest in you for nothing. I'm going to get my ROI. Yeah. If you ask him, he's still waiting on it. But that's we can agree to disagree.
Yeah.
But so it was then that I go. I'm coming home and working for the family business, and it was the best thing that's ever happened to me, because I couldn't imagine sitting in a cubicle crunching numbers or, buying and selling stocks and investing my whole life, because, there's no interaction with people. There's no helping somebody. There's no, helping ease somebody's pain.
Yeah.
So it's been great.
So how long now have you been working there at you've been in the Dallas office the whole time, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So let's see, 2006, since 2006.
So it's quite a while then.
Yeah. So I'm a guesstimator, so that's
14, 15 years. Yeah. How about you, Will?
Give or take.
How long have I been at Supreme?
Or just tell us a little bit about your background.
So I've actually didn't come from the roofing industry before I was at Supreme. I grew up in the construction industry my whole life. Dad's been in it. My grandpa was in it. But I kind of came from a general contracting background. Mm-hmm. And so I had done that for about 10 years prior to coming to Supreme. But unfortunately, one of the bad things with new construction is it's really volatile with the economy. So when we had the recession that hit in like the mid to late 2000s, it got to the point literally where there was no work, and it got so bad that I actually went back into the gym business, which I did in college. Mm. And I was doing personal training, and I sold some training to this guy that was an ex-Supreme employee. Mm-hmm. And he would come in and talk to him, and he was like, hey, do you think about coming in the roofing business? And I'm like, I don't know, it beats this, sure, whatever. And so I came and interviewed with Craig, and they kind of had me doing sales. Well, really wasn't, I don't know if we really knew exactly what it was going to be, but we were trying to drive revenue through RAs. Started doing that, and the guys were busy, and they wouldn't bid. And they were like, I don't have time to bid it. And I'm like, man, I can do this. So started bidding the work, started selling the work, kind of transitioned to that full time. And then once it was time for Craig to move on up, then I took his spot, managing our service department. And that's been about 8 years ago. So
Yeah.
kind of that's how it progressed.
8 years already,
Next
huh?
month, yeah.
Wow.
I still remember the day that you interviewed me in the old conference room.
Yeah.
So
Time flies.
Yeah. Now, Melissa, I've actually got a funny story about her. We went to high school together, and when
Okay.
Wait, funny story or
kind of funny story, not generally about her,
something
about
we can
our.
hold against her later?
No, unfortunately.
I'm sure you've got those. You're just not going to tell us on the podcast.
We did not hang out in high school.
No,
we were
no.
Not pals.
We went to we both went to school in Lubbock at Coronado, and there were like probably 800 kids in our grade. And I transferred over in like ninth grade, so all my friends were in different school districts, so I didn't hang out with anybody really from Coronado, so I didn't really know that many people except for the people I played sports with.
But I do have the yearbook pictures.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting to. Like,
Rude.
I started working with her sister Mallory, and she'd come into the office and just to hang out and say hi or whatever when she's passing through or whatever. And one day she comes in with this yearbook. And I knew they were at Lubbock the same time I was, but I didn't know at the time that we'd gone to school together. She comes in with a yearbook with this picture of me. I think I had a bowl cut.
Yeah,
and
the
like,
chili bowl.
Yeah, chili
We
bowl.
did
with,
have a chili bowl back in the day.
yeah. I'm like, oh, thanks for that, by the way.
Like 98. It was a chili bowl.
The butt cut.
So when you started working at that company with my sister, I said, I think we went to high school together, and they didn't believe me. So I said, I have proof. So I brought the picture in, and then they wanted to blow it up and put it, I don't know, on a wall somewhere or on the website or something, just because he was new and they were trying to give him a hard time.
Yeah. So I know a little bit about your history, and they do, but why don't you tell the audience a little bit about your how your history in construction or roofing and how you got involved with Supreme?
Okay. So we moved from Lubbock to Dallas in 2000 my father ran a Carlisle distribution center. So I started construction working there. I was a account admin for DFW, San Antonio, Austin, Vegas, all the different satellite offices, ordering materials for larger jobs for roofing contractors. I had a couple of babies. The company ended up going under, and we moved on. And then I worked for a smaller roofing contractor, and then I worked for a little bit larger one, and then I worked for a national company, the same one with my sister and you, just not in the same capacity. I kind of did a little bit of everything with that company, and then I went to Supreme, and I've been there for about 2 years.
And your role as service scheduling manager?
That's
Technical,
the
that's your official
moniker
role?
on the bottom of my signature, yes.
Yeah.
She basically keeps everybody in line in the service department.
We went through such a expansive growth
Yeah.
that we had to really start like dividing up some tasks that might have been handled by like a service admin or service coordinator and an operations manager, because it just got to be so overwhelming with the number of crews we had and everything that it literally takes like Melissa basically fielding these guys' calls all day, coordinating everything they do all day just to keep the number of crews we have, and making everything run smoothly.
Yeah.
Going.
Yeah.
She wears many hats.
I can imagine. So Tim Rady started Supreme Roofing over 30 years ago as a small operation in the Dallas market, doing service work for manufacturers, right?
Yeah, running, doing just warranty work for manufacturers 32 years ago.
Wow. Well, fast forward to today, and you've grown to be one of the largest contractors in DFW with other branches in New England, like I said, New England, Oklahoma, and Colorado, right? Denver?
Yes, sir.
So what has changed about the way Supreme handles their business today as opposed to when you started out? Or is it you handled a lot the same?
I don't think anything's changed the way that we handle business. It's still based on the same fundamentals of just making sure the customer's taken care of. It's just do what's right. The reason why we've actually expanded. So Dallas is our corporate headquarters. We moved to Massachusetts 6 years ago, then Oklahoma City, then Denver. And all of that was based on because customers were asking us. So that in itself speaks volumes, I think. It's not so much that, hey, this is a booming economy over here, let's open up an office and see if we can, reap the benefits of it. It's more or less, hey, y'all are taking great care of us. We got buildings over here, we got, things going on over here. Do you have an office there? No. Well, if you did, we, would love for you to, take care of our facilities for us. Mm-hmm. So that in itself, it's not, we're still doing business the same way we did 30 years ago. And I think that resonates with the customers because of the fact that it's more of a, I want to say ma and pa type feel, mm-hmm. but it's a ma and pa type feel. Mm-hmm. You call our headquarters and you actually get somebody answering on the phone. You're not getting a recording going, press 1, press 2, press 3. If you know the extension, enter it now. It's, hello, Supreme Roofing. Thanks for calling.
Yeah.
How can we help you?
Mm-hmm.
So,
just a much more personal and I guess feel to just the way you treat your customers and the relationships you build with them.
Yeah, and in the everything's so automated these days. It's nice to actually call and get an actual person on the phone.
Oh yeah, I agree, 100%. So, you mentioned a second ago spreading out about your customers were wanting you to kind of to take care of their needs in other parts of the country. I know that New England was that was the first. Was that the second branch y'all opened outside of Dallas?
That was the second. So my parents are from Massachusetts originally.
Is it Chicopee? How do you say that?
Chicopee.
Oh, yeah. Duh. Makes sense. Obvious.
Chicopee, Massachusetts. So it's an hour and a half west of Boston.
Okay.
So they're from there originally. They're high school sweethearts.
Yeah. Well, I know that when y'all opened that branch in New England, y'all were already a founding member of Roof Connect, and we needed help up in that area. So they reached out to Tim because they knew he wanted to branch out into that area anyways because that's where he was from. Mm-hmm. How big of a factor do you think that was in him pulling the trigger on that? Or I don't know how would he want to say that?
I would think it's a huge factor because us opening an office in Massachusetts was kind of a no-brainer for Tim because, he was born and raised there. He, knew that there was a need for it, and he's always wanted to, replicate the success he had in Dallas in his hometown. So, it was a perfect opportunity for him to go home per se, mm-hmm. and, help give back to the community, and start an office up there.
Well, I mentioned earlier Supreme was the original founding member of Roof Connect. Can you tell the audience what are some of the advantages of working with a national group like Roof Connect?
I can tell you, I brought this up last night when we were mm-hmm. having dinner with David, and, at the time we were going through it with Roof Connect, I didn't see it then, and I thought it was really a pain, some of the stuff we were having to do and learn. But we learned how to handle, through y'all, really big portfolios, mm-hmm. and we learned how to document really good because you have to with national accounts. Yeah. But we've kind of taken that, and spread it to all of our business. And, one of the things we're really good at, that we do service-wise is service, large portfolios. And I kind of attribute this, learning through Roof Connect how they did that, how we were able to do that. I mean, we've had actually people reach out to us and say, hey, we want y'all to put a maintenance plan together for us. And it was kind of like, they just heard it was kind of out of the blue type thing. But I think that experience is how we learned how to do that. And obviously, the way we document all of our leaks and pitch, everything we do that puts us in a position to be able to communicate with the customer, and also, document if there's a callback or whatnot. We learn that through working through Roof Connect. So it's been a good experience and really helped us expand the rest of our business as well.
Yeah, I think that's pretty similar across the industry. You get local contractors that want to work with these national customers, and they get in and they don't realize all the different the documentation and the portals and everything else that they have to use to be able to work with these clients.
And every single one of them is different, and they want a different form filled out, or a different way to do this, or this is how you need to phrase things. Every single one of them is different. It's just like the portals. Every single one of them is different in the way you do things in them. And it's hard.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, just as you think you know it all, you learn something new.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you go, you know what? Why weren't we doing this?
Yeah. It's always, you can always find something out of it. You can pull back and turn it internally, and how can we use this same process here?
Yeah, and some of it feels like a slap in the face, duh type moment. Like,
why haven't we been doing this forever?
Why haven't we been doing this?
Yeah.
Why haven't we been taking before and after photos? How come we haven't been, walking the roof and going, okay, this is a potential, issue for the customer in 6 months or a year. Why don't we document it and send it to them and go, hey, you might want to look out for this, because with the weather change, especially in Texas, where you're going 30 degrees. In the morning time, and in the afternoon it's 90 degrees. Yeah. You get all that expansion, contraction. You're going, you might want to look out for this caulking and everything else. It's a potential issue. I feel like we need to drive home the point that even though we've been in business for 32 years, we're always learning something new, and it's a lot of that comes from Roof Connect and how we look at things and going, oh, well, yeah, this should be the way to, this should be the rule, not the exception. And a lot of that has been driven because of RAs and stuff that's Roof Connect driven. Yeah.
Well, I think the other good thing too, is you get to talk with the contractors that are in other markets, so you can kind of have a little more open discussion with them, because they're not really a competitor of yours, but you kind of and you can find out from like, hey, what are they doing? Because you are talking to a lot of contractors, but I don't necessarily know. I would have those discussions with like people that are our direct competitors, but we can kind of get some best practices from other markets, and they're doing stuff different. So it's helpful getting that knowledge from one central point that pulls it all together. So. I'll say, just kind of expand on that. When I first started out working with Roof Connect, and I think Supreme did too, like, everything we had to do was so over the top and above and beyond what we were normally doing. But the industry's changing. So that's kind of become the norm now with almost everybody you deal with, not just Roof Connect. So I think it kind of positioned, we were way ahead of the curve, like, because everybody else, you're having to do that. Regular customers, they got portals. They got special paperwork. But when we first started doing Roof Connect, it was like this whole other animal all on its own, and we didn't have to do any of that kind of stuff. But it definitely helped us get way ahead of the curve with our competitors, because that's just, we're used to doing it. That's what we do.
Yeah. I can tell a difference in the last 8 years from when I started in roofing. The amount of contractors we had that would fight about having to take before and after photos, and getting that invoice and everything submitted within a certain amount of time, and just everything, all the restrictions you have to have. But now they're using it with their local customers too, because they started offering these other things to them, and that they didn't even know that they should be asking for. So it's kind of elevated the entire, like, their portfolio of customers. It's elevated their business. It makes us appear more professional. First off, that's always a good thing. It's elevated just the expectations of the customers about who they're dealing with, I think. I had another point, but I forgot it.
Professionalism, expectations.
I think the technology has been a big thing too.
I was going to ask you about that.
What was it? I think 4 or 5 years ago is when we first started buying those iPhones for the field guys. And I had a lot of people tell me, you will never make this happen. And every one of the guys does it, and they all do it. And the guys that they told me would never do it and are the worst. I mean, are probably the most consistent. And that's the funniest thing. But I had our old operations manager. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your money. I'm not going to train them. They can't do it. There's no way. They're never going to do it. And we started out with one guy, and he was doing it, and the rest of them weren't. And they started getting jealous. They're like, hey, why does he get it and I don't? And then we just started rolling it out to her, and now they all do it. They get the updates. They're showing us how to do. But it has automated the process so much. I mean, we used to have a second admin that did nothing but like move pictures and deal with all the data and type in notes in the work orders because they were on paper and scan stuff in. And, now I'm getting that information like in real time. Customers calling me, I'm like, hold on, let me look. And I know what they did when, while they were on site, so it's a big benefit to the customers, just that bit of technology, being able to have real-time information.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up. I appreciate you guys coming on the podcast with me. I know it's kind of last minute, like, hey, we want to do this segment with y'all. Do y'all want to? How do y'all feel? So I'm glad y'all decided to join on, especially when Melissa.
I had more notice for this than most of the other things, though. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got about a week's notice for this.
Oh, so you're good then.
Yeah.
I'm a little anal because I wanted to know what we were talking about ahead of time. So
now the conference call yesterday,
I didn't
that
leave
was
him
a little
alone
more,
until I got it back.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for the show this week. If you have any questions or topics you'd like to hear discussed on future episodes, shoot me an email at david.huval@roofconnect.com. That's david.huval, Huval, @roofconnect.com. Also, if you like today's show, please take a moment and give us a like and review on iTunes or Spotify and share it on social media. This is a brand new podcast, and it really helps us out when you spread the word. Also, if you're listening to this podcast, I want to let you know that we do record these episodes and post them to our YouTube channel. You can just search Roof Connections Podcast, and you should be able to find us. So until next time, I'm David on the behalf of Craig, Will, and Melissa. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.